what's important for her is for a man to know her really well and actually plan an event that she would like. That says a lot of things. One, the man has expressed his interest by even approaching you. Two, he was listening to you, so he knows what you like. He cares to impress you, and he wants to impress you, so he's going out of his way. He's making an effort to make that preparation and make sure it's something that you like, not something he likes. It's about what you like. So that means he's definitely interested in making you happy, bringing you joy. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is LolaAjisafe here. We are reviewing Ready to Love. This is season 5 or 6. We keep doing this, and then it's episode 5. Now, housekeeping rules. Before we proceed, please don't forget to thumbs up, like the video, comment, hit the like button. Second of all, and I always like to say most importantly of all, is tell me what you think, your opinion, what you thought when you saw the episode, what you think of what I might have said, what you think of what somebody else said. Of course, we're all going to keep it respectful, but it's, you know, fam, just exchanging ideas. And last of all, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. So let's go into it. So what's going on right now? We're finishing up from the last episode where we had Precious and AP on the chopping block. Yo, I don't think we were surprised by the result. So AP gets sent home. I mean, he kind of goes through, I kind of want to touch on what he said, and I think maybe just to make a point and to see what y'all think. So first of all, before he tells AP she's going home, he kind of tells AP and Precious different things. So AP, you know, the guys think you have some unresolved feelings or emotions towards your husband, your late husband. Now, is it their place to say that? May that be the case? Now, there is this tendency now, because everyone is woke, to therapize everyone, even when you don't have a license to. So I don't know if I want to say that she has unresolved issues, but she may be guarded because she hasn't been in the dating field, and dating has changed. What, she was married for a substantial number of years, so I don't want to start guessing because I don't remember. And then she was divorced for another year. So we're talking like at least, you know, between 5 to 12 years. The dating scenario has changed. People have they've run amok. The dating field has run amok since she was last seen dating. So there is some reserve, and she's probably guarded. So I think that's more it. Now, I'm not trying to be a therapist, but I don't want to just immediately assume, oh, she didn't weave in very well with us because she's still I don't think that's the case at all. I just think that this medium is not for everyone. And, you know, in real life, you do take your time talking with people, meeting with people, not rushing. And the speed of the dating show, the game show, as we call it, it's like speed dating. And it's not for her. Like I've said, this medium is not for everyone. This medium is not for her. So I think that's why she's going home, because she's not thirsty. And I'm not saying the other ladies are thirsty, but she's just not ready to play the game. And so if you're not ready to play the game, then you probably don't want to go into the game. You don't want to, you know, do like, you know, sign up for a 200-meter sprint. And then when the gun goes off, you just decide to walk and stroll like, I'm taking my time. So literally that's what it was. She was doing her own thing. That's not a bad thing, but it just didn't work for this medium. That's what I'd say for her. So then they talk about Precious, that Precious, you're on the chopping block because the guys think you're more about a nightlife or a party girl or da. Dare I say, y'all ain't any better, but I'm just giving my opinion. So they're just pretty much saying that the side they've seen, the one-dimensional side they've seen of Precious so far has been, you know, the whoop 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 kind of girl. And not to say, like I said, it's such a fast pace that there are other sides to her. They haven't said this, so this is a warning. AP gets sent home. So the message now to Precious is, you know what, she has to be herself, so she probably leads with her personality, but also maybe be a little introspective, maybe reel it in a little bit, maybe slow down a little bit. Even though it's a speed dating thing, the guys are saying they don't know her and she's not getting to know them. So let's see how this goes. They've done the eliminations. They still, I don't know, there's a bonfire, there's a barbecue. Anyway, it's funny that it's only after eliminations they're now just getting to eat. So y'all sent AP home on an empty stomach. I don't know, that's just my observation, because I don't know, like we have a professional chef who is also known as AKA the palate pleaser, and you're sending me home without a plate. Like, I don't think they sent her home without a plate. Maybe she's just behind the scenes getting her plate. But anyway, they decide to eat after eliminations. I guess, you know, nobody wants to eat, you know, on a bubbly stomach if they're nervous. So they just decide to do the eliminations first. So anyway, they eat, and then then the mice come out to play. So, you know, just before they start, something of note, I just want to bring it up and see what you all thought. I really want to know what you all thought here. So Clifton approaches Carmen. It's like, can I get you a plate too? Like, I don't know if, you know, I don't know what that means. Like, is he just trying to reach out to Carmen because, you know, he's trying to even the playing field. Maybe it's well known that Joy is his top choice, but I mean, probably shouldn't have offered to get anybody's plate. But anyway, Carmen feeling herself like, she like, yay, yeah, he offered to get my plate. We're sitting next to each other, yay. And then brother Laverne decides to come up with a beautiful suggestion. Like, I'm sure one of the producers put him up to it. That let's pep things up a bit. Tell them to play Truth or Dare. So he brings up the bright idea, let's do Truth or Dare. Truth or Dare from past history has never brought anything good to the scenario. Nothing good for the people, but great TV. So here we go again, we're doing Truth or Dare. So who do we start with? So Tina, I think Tina was the first person she decided to go with the dare. And it was, what was she meant to do? I think maybe touch the chest or touch the person who she has the most connection with. Tina, or as they sometimes say, Christina. But look, when they introduced her, they called her Tina. So I'm going to call her Tina, yeah? But you know who I'm talking about. So she walked up to Uncle Paul. She touched his chest. Uncle Paul feeling himself. He's like, yeah, I'm still in the winning. Look, I don't know. But herein lies, I think, remember, they had a great connection before. And I feel like, Paul was able to settle down and be himself. And also, so once an individual is themselves, we're talking about man in this position, now once he feels like himself, he can now go into pursuit mode. And so he did kind of pursue, and she played that feminine mode, like, maybe you should take my number kind of thing. And so they have like a little cute little thing going on there. So that confirmed that, yeah, he did right. So he felt good about himself. The question now is, what about Wiley? Because they had, paired her with Wiley, because Wiley's, the common thing that everybody kept saying is like, yo, too young for me. And I want to also insist that it had nothing to do with his age. It had less to do with his age than the energy in which he leads. Because there are lots of men who are just as young as him. But the last thing you'll be wondering about, how old are you? Because you know how sometimes you sit down with a guy and be like, how old are you? That really means you led with like, some youth energy, like you're a millennial. So that made me feel like, ugh, if the only person who was closest to aging you is not feeling you, yo, Wiley, tick tock, tick tock. But anyway, let's keep going. And so the next person was Joy, and they dared her, and the dare was to kiss, because you choose Truth or Dare. The next one was to kiss her best connection. My good sis, she ran over to Clifton and planted one on his face. Yo. I at this point I have no problem with it. This game, there's only one way to play the game. You can't play it safe. You just have to play it. But might I say that Carmen she feeling a little bit sour. She feeling salty. She feeling all in her emotions. Of what? I don't know what she expected. Like, I don't know, but she just didn't like the fact that Clifton got kissed, and clearly probably responded, because that's his top connection. I don't think there's any confusion here. And of course, then it gets to Carmen. And she decides she's not going to play this baby game with them. She's not doing dare. She's going to do truth. So I think, Takia, my sis, like she work in corporate America. I've forgotten what she does. It'll come back to me, but she's slick. She comes up with a question now. Do you have a genuine interest in one or more of the guys? Or are you just making do what's available with the selection? You're just managing the selection, as Nigerians would say. Just managing. Smart, and what's her name Carmen comes up with a pretty good political response. Like, she's interested in a person or some people. So she's still trying to keep the mystery alive, I guess she has that Kama Sutra book at home where, sometimes some amount of mystery is important in the cat and mouse game when you're being, or when you want to be pursued by someone. So she's giving them hope, but she's not saying who it is. So I can't be mad at her. That was a smart response. I can't be mad at Carmen. Like, Carmen knows how to play chess. She played, like, she brought her chess set and she's playing, so she started playing. She's like, that's my answer. That was a good answer. Moving on to Sabrina. Sabrina's been our young lady who's been in between. To us, the viewers, we've seen her in between two gentlemen. Apparently, to the people in the RTL stratosphere, they thought she had an eye on one guy. So we've seen her with, Tori, the realtor who's 39, who got her cupcakes. Was it today? Got a cup? No, it was the other time. He brought cupcakes specially for her. But my sis had her eye on Demetrius. And then last week, Demetrius let her know. He put her on notice that he's interested in her. You see how that works? Like he hadn't really, Demetrius had just been kind of watching, looking, just kind of reserving his opinion. Then all of a sudden, when he made his mind up, he let it be known that I'm interested in you. And all of a sudden, like stakes, the game has changed. Sabrina now has two minds. Like suddenly, because she's been interested in him, but he wasn't giving her energy until last week when he now said, you know what, here I am. I just want to let you know I'm in. So they say, please go and nibble on the ear of your, what was the question? Nibble of the ear on the person, nibble on the ear of the person you're feeling. Where's she head? She wonder what to, no, she's pacing. That's that. She's pacing. I'm pacing. Who it's going to be? Sis knew before she got out of that chair who she was going to. Women can be fairly decisive too. We're not confused. That she wasn't in that moment in time. There was no confusion, but she was being politically correct. She didn't want to make Demetrius too happy, and she didn't want to really completely crush Tori. That's how I see it. So anyway, she's playing the game. You know, it's been recorded, makes great TV, and then she walked back, and then she go nibble on Demetrius' ear. Yo. Tori had the death stare. She's like, what? Like, what in the world? What's going on? That was my top connection. And she nibbling on somebody else's ear. Woo! I feel for him. But we cannot forget. And this is why sometimes it's hard to, on one hand, say you're going to be vulnerable and open yourself up to someone. And then on the other hand, you don't know if that other person, that someone, is feeling you just as much. Or even if that someone is, they still have to kind of play a game because they can't, you know, show everyone else that they've put their eggs in one basket. It's a really tough thing to play with. Like it's a tough thing to play with. I do have compassion for Tori, but like Sabrina have to go with her heart. Maybe she's been feeling, you know, Demetrius from jump, but Demetrius didn't make his interest known until last week. So she matching his energy now. I'm sorry, Tori. Here goes. So anyway. Then the next scene, like they're going in for broke. Demetrius was next for the truth or dare, and he decided, you know, he chose a dare, and his dare was kiss that one. You know, Demetrius is no game player. He got up, he walked up, and he went straight to Sabrina. Corey will hurt. You know what I think? I can't really blame Sabrina in this situation. I mean, there's, you know, I'm sure people might have their different feelings. The guys, you know, people who might be sympathizing with, you know, the male perspective, or might sympathize with Tori, will say something about, you know, Sabrina this, Sabrina that. But the truth is, and this is what I just truth based on my observation of it is, it's likely she had a deeper interest in Demetrius from jump. But this is a dating show. So she made do with what was available, who was approaching her at that time. And the person approaching her at that time was Tori. And you know, like, he's sweet, he's this, he's that, all this, you know, da. But the truth is, even remember on the time when they were going around seeing the monuments in DC, she was talking about how Demetrius didn't jump in. Demetrius was just like, so she couldn't really have any, you know, she was accepting what was given, but her mind was always on Demetrius. So the minute Demetrius made his mind up, she put Demetrius above Tori immediately. And I don't think it's a change of mind. It's just simply the situation had changed to reveal more information, so she was able to make a better decision with the information she was given. I doubt, and I'll put it to you like this, I doubt that if it was reversed, if Demetrius, who she had more interest in, was the first person to kind of express like, I'm into you, and declare his intention, and if Tori and Darren all of a sudden decide to, you know, also, you know, interest her, 80% of me thinks that she probably would have still gone for Demetrius and not necessarily the new person Tori if we switched, you know, roles, because she was more interested in Demetrius. Now, of course, there are some situations where some women, they just get kind of hung up on attention as a whole, so anything new is exciting, but that's not the case. I don't think there's any confusion as to who she liked or likes more. Of course, you know, it's going to begin to, you know, reveal itself if what I'm saying is true, but I feel like she liked this guy more from jump. But she a lady, she ain't going to chase him. Like, he needs to come to her. He came to her, and immediately the players on the chessboard changed because she likes him more. As of this point in time, unless something changes, it looks like to me that Demetrius is her main interest. Yes, Tori is all nice and teddy bears and all that, but if they were to ask her to choose right now, she chose already. Right. If they were to end this season right there and then, she chose Demetrius because that's where her interest lay. Everybody kind of connected to Tori because Demetrius hadn't stood up yet. Demetrius was taking his time. I guess he did. He has a right to take his time, even though, you're on a dating show. But he had so many options. He had the luxury of taking his time and knew that he wouldn't be kicked off because he didn't step. But once he stepped up, things changed. So going on to the next scene, we have this dating thing where they've got 2, 3 here or 3, 2 here. Like, so they have a group date, some kind of grown-up jungle gym kind of thing where they're kind of doing acrobatics or Cirque du Soleil kind of thing for people to try it out. So it is Precious, it's Joy, and the gentlemen are Clifton, Wiley, and Demetrius. So, you know, Joy and Clifton, they kind of, you know, they start off first. They're kind of doing their little thing. And I noticed there was one point where she was kind of unsteady, right? And then Clifton brings out his hand, and then, you know, Joy's like, I'm okay, I'll ask for your help when I need it. But I said, okay, fine. He walk off, and she's like having an issue with it. Just to give like a different perspective, unless, I don't know what she was playing out there, but I would say, if you're playing by the book of dating, you playing the game, right? And this is one of your interests. You know, he put his hand out. Play along and give him your hand. I don't know. That would make him, because you could almost see it's like, this is a side. We're putting it to the side. We're just using this little example. You guys on some kind of activity. And he puts his hand out. Take his hand. That makes him feel needed. Makes him feel wanted. Makes him feel present. And then he kind of engages in. So, you know, I'm sorry. That's just how it works. Like, make him feel like he's bad. Like he feel like, oh, she needs me. Because as soon as she kind of turned him down, he disconnected and went away. And she noticed that and said, so you're going to leave me? Because then he's like, yo, if you don't need me, then why am I standing here? Like, I'm not a butler. You know, well, I don't need to be there. And so that's the thing, I think, you know, and it's just, you know, if you all find yourself in a situation like that, you want to play a little bit. And I'm not saying, you know, dating is just about playing, but there's some dynamics that help things move in the direction you want. Nobody's calling you helpless. But there's a lot of times, sometimes, you know, some women, those of us women, all of us women who might have other things going on, you don't want to be the boss bee on a date. You really don't. Even if you are an Olympic champ and he put his hand out, just take his hand. You can do your acrobatics later on. Take his hand, because that brings him in and he remains engaged. That's what I noticed from that scene. Moving on to Precious and Demetrius. So now she looked like she's trying to prove herself to Demetrius, like she's, you know, I just want to explain yourself and da. I think in this situation, because it's obvious, it looks so obvious that she's trying to fix both the conversation they had last week and the fact, you know, the elimination pointers he gave her just, you know, early on in the week or whatever, early on in this episode. And so immediately she's trying to repair it. I think in this scenario, what would work best would be actions other than words. Oh, let me prove myself. No, don't use the words. Show the actions. So she could have been, she could have approached him and just had some probing, interesting questions for him. Be attentive. Try and have him do the talk, you know, have him do the talking, have him, you know, just say more. And just try not to let her personality take over. I'm not saying don't be yourself. I'm not saying she shouldn't be herself, but try and have him do more talking. Try and get more information out of him. And just be like, and see, that probably would have worked more than. And also it's editing too, so I don't know if that's what she did, but that to me would have been more effective than saying, let me just prove myself to you, let me explain myself to you. That almost feels like, you know, that takes away takes you away from position of power. And sometimes, you know, the beginning of dating, it's all about power dynamics. I'm sorry, it really is. And so that now he's here and she's here trying to prove herself to him, as opposed to conversation right here, conversation. Talk and that would have put them more on an equal playing ground than her trying to prove herself. That kind of, you know, like she has to prove herself to him. Why? Like when who died and made him God, that she have to prove herself. So that scene made it uncomfortable, and also proved that, because in the confessional, Demetrius was saying the same thing, that is she just saying this to me to, you know, backtrack on what happened during the last elimination. So that would be a way to handle it. Something, because things, you know, it's all about, you know, recovering from some errors you might have made. Not to say you won't make errors, but how do you recover from them? And I think that would have been a better recovery. Wiley and Joy, you know, like I said, I don't know, episodes ago, if Joy don't make it to the final, then I don't know. I won't understand why, because she played this right. So she decided to give Wiley some of her time. She, you know, she had said that she noticed that Wiley would, you know, flirt with her, do certain things. Who calls it the Wiley eyes? I think the kid called him like the Wiley eye. I don't know, like I don't know what he's doing. Like he's just going like all this, but he would flirt with her, but do nothing else. He wouldn't, you know, pursue her. He's a young man. He hasn't sat into his masculine energy, or maybe he feels uncomfortable. Maybe he really feels out of place, and that's what they're sensing. Because it's one thing, like, how you going to start the plane but not do a takeoff? Like, it's like he doesn't know how to close the deal. Like, you get to the table, you got a great deal on the table, and you don't close it, and you come away and leave money on the table, or leave the whole deal on the table. So he's flirting with women, he's meeting with women, he's talking to women, but not closing in. Phone number, would you like to? I'd like to take, you know, he's not saying that. He's not going any further than like smiling and maybe holding hands, like, dude, like, what's that? That's what we do in kindergarten, sir. Maybe even high school. I know in the high school has changed nowadays, so even high school, they're closing deals in high school. So that's what Joy had noticed from him, and so that's what she was actually giving him time to, because she said she could feel the vibes from him, but he never went past the vibes. That simply confirms what everyone's been feeling. I'm not here to judge him. Maybe he did feel out of place. Maybe he did feel some kind of way, and that is the end. Like, that's it. Like, and I don't know if he does that with everyone, or if he just does that with some women who he feels might be out of his league. That's another thing. If a man's feeling out of his league, he's not going to fire. He's not going to close the deal. And if he does, he probably look very clumsy doing it, because he doesn't feel sure of himself. And it seems in this scenario he's not sure of himself. All right, so we're going to the scene with Sabrina and Tori. Now, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but you know, finally, you know, Sabrina asked to, you know, meet up with Tori. They meet out on a date, and they're doing it, talking well. All Tori want to know is, why you kiss Demetrius and not me? Or, you know, well, it wasn't a kiss, it was a nibble on the ear. Why you nibble his ear and not my ear? I don't know what she said, but she didn't really say anything to make it clear. She just, maybe she felt like that at the time. I think long and short of this is Tori thought that he was her number one connection, unknowns to him, which he did say. He was unaware that, you know, clearly he didn't know that they had been speaking, they had been meeting, maybe they'd had, you know, a connection had started developing, but it was one that he wasn't aware of. So he really felt like he was her number one connection, only to find out that he wasn't, and he found that out in public. So I understand his point of view, because his point of view was saying, I don't expect you not to meet up with people, but I would like, is like a heads up, you know, an understanding to know that there are other people you're interested in. I get that, because I think everybody, it seems we knew better as the viewing audience. We'd seen like that. We'd seen that last week. Like when Demetrius, you know, made his intentions known, we saw that last week, but everybody else hadn't really paid attention to that. So everybody else was surprised by the fact that, oh, there's a connection between Demetrius and Sabrina. So I understand him wanting to know so that he doesn't feel blindsided. But at the same time, these are some of the disadvantages of being involved in a game show. You know, you win some, you lose some. And in this particular, he didn't lose the war, but he lost this battle. So right now, it looked like Demetrius is above him right now. So I think they concluded he can't, like, he just wants to know. But she's also very clear that she won't be rushed in this process. Like, she went with how she felt. And I cannot fault her whatsoever. She did exactly what she felt like doing. Like, you should make those decisions for yourself and not for someone else, or how someone else is going to perceive this. You definitely want to be honest and sincere, and that's what she was trying to be. But at the end of the day, she can't really assure Tori that, yeah, let's not talk about 1, 2, 3. And I didn't hear him say that, but he kind of wanted to know that. So I think even though she didn't say you're not, he now understand that he ain't number one. At least this week, he's not number one. Now, can positions change? I don't know. Like, Demetrius is going to have to really do something really jacked up for the positions to change. Because when you look at the two gentlemen, personally, you know, you see someone first based on how they look. Like, this, is there physical attraction? Women, you know, is there physical attraction? But for women, I can't speak for, well, men probably do physical attraction heavily. Women do physical attraction, but more important, I think for women, they also look past that. And Demetrius definitely looks like an individual or a gentleman who is introspective, thinks, and you can see the way he moves. He moves with intention. That's definitely something a woman wants. So he already is checking 2 boxes. Whereas for her, maybe, Tori, but he not Demetrius. I think, there's always, I always say, I think it's common knowledge that we always say that when a man knows what he wants, he'll go for it. And I think the same thing, when a woman knows what she wants and it approaches her, why would she waste time? Like, it's one thing for the person to approach you and you're into them. I'm not saying you have to pursue them back, but you receive the pursuit. You let them know that, you're in the right place, and you continue. Regardless of whether there was some other fellow, because if that some other fellow doesn't hold as much interest for you as this person does, then why would you turn this person down? Definitely be like, approach. So that's what that is. So right now, unless that happens, Demetrius number 1 for Sabrina. I don't think we're confused. Like, someone doesn't just about turn, but this is, once again, this is a game show. So they could about turn. But this way I see right now, I think this truth or dare game kind of let us know some things that we didn't otherwise know. But I felt like we knew. All right, so the next date we have is Carmen and Paul. Apparently, Paul was eager to meet up with Carmen, a new person in the house who probably doesn't have that initial impression of him being very stodgy and closed off, and just fresh blood that might be more open to him because he hasn't really received great reviews from some of the ladies who've been there from the beginning. And so they get talking. I don't know how they're going to this, can I give you my pickle? Double innuendo. I don't know if this whole season they're talking about double innuendo. They're playing with double innuendos, or maybe we're just getting to see more of it. But anyway, apparently whether it's his pickle or pickle on his plate, whichever pickle share, they shall talk about the pickle, and then Carmen knows how to play this sultry, seductress game. I'll give that to her. At least she won't wear her blue contacts today. She definitely knows how to play. So she's like, feed me. She's drawing him in, and he's like, she played it out. She doing all this, but I'm not going to reenact how she ate the pickle, but she was very sultry in the way she ate the pickle just to get his attention. Some part of me feels like they're almost kind of a good match, because she's not put off by his I don't want to call him being awkward, but there's almost something like a stiffness to him sometimes when he may feel unsure of how far to go. But she meets him where he is. Like some of the other ladies may be like waiting for him to come here. She'll meet him in the middle, be like, like she gives him energy that now encourages him. So she's been giving him great energy. She may not be like, at this point, I don't know if she's really interested in him or she's just playing the game. But she gave him the energy to encourage him. So everything she did was encouraging him. So it kind of warmed the date up. They start talking about romance, He's like asking like what she interested in. And she said something key as well, which I thought is important to mention. She's talking about for her, what's important for her is for a man to know her really well and actually plan an event that she would like. And that says a lot of things. 1, the man has expressed his interest by even approaching you. 2, he was listening to you, so he knows what you like. He cares to impress you. And he wants to impress you, so he's going out of his way. He's making an effort to make that preparation and make sure it's something that you like, not something he likes. It's about what you like. So that means he's definitely interested in making you happy, bringing you joy. That says a lot. So I definitely think that's something we need to be aware of when we are dating. And I think this was a similar example to, I think that was last week when I had that, the anatomy of a great date, when it was clear that Laverne knew that Joy was into pottery. And so the minute he brought her to the pottery place, it made her smile because she said he was listening. And that's what Carmen's saying. That means for him to pick something and plan something she likes, he's put the effort into already listening to her, so he knows what she likes, and then putting the effort to planning it. It's not about the money, but it's about the thought that was put into it. He's not going to put thought into somebody that he doesn't like. So the fact that he's putting the thought into it means that he likes her. So literally, she's given the script for what Laverne did last week. What can I say? So that definitely is a good sign. Person's interested and they're willing to really care to impress you. All right, so going on, they start talking about deal breakers, and he talks about, what were the deal breakers he mentioned? He said low energy, no drive for life and so on. It makes sense, you know, someone low, because it's like and it makes sense. You're just someone who's like that. And for someone who, for him, where he's like here, he's with somebody else, bring his energy all the way down. So he's clear. I think he understands, and he's old enough. He understands himself well enough to know that he needs somebody to match his energy, or preferably higher, so that will keep him up to a certain point. Because that's what Carmen is doing. He has this very like just like this, but Carmen is here, and so for this date, she brought him up. Like, because if you compare this date to the date he had with Sabrina, it was very, and maybe because Sabrina wasn't interested in him, so of course she wasn't returning the energy or encouraging him. But here, Carmen may not be interested in him, but she was definitely giving him encouraging energy to keep going. And he mentioned also something to explain someone who doesn't have doesn't have that pursuit of happiness. You can't be with someone who's not, well, you can be. But if you're with someone who's, if I want to use the term pessimistic, or someone who looks at the glasses half empty, someone who constantly has to complain, someone who's always, it's always this, there's always a problem. You don't want to be around that kind of person. After a while, you don't. Honestly, you don't. And so I get that. He definitely has, I won't say he's thought about it, but he's clear on what doesn't work for him. And I don't think that works for anyone. Like, nobody wants to be around a complainer. Someone who constantly has a problem with everything that goes on. That doesn't make you feel good. And you remember how people make you feel. A lot of the time, or most of the time. Importantly, you remember how they make you feel. So if someone's constantly complaining, bring your energy down, that's what you remember. You don't want to be around that. It just brings you down. And this day and age, like, tomorrow is not promised, you know. Just to sidestep, we're talking about what's going on between Ukraine and Russia. It's like this, and by the grace of God, things will be resolved, you know, they'll be protected. But the thing is, this emphasizes that, you know, tomorrow is not promised. That, you know, a mad person can be at the helm of something and cause destruction for a lot of people who have no idea who that person is. And so it's really, this to me, just to talking about this now, really emphasizes the need to, you know, to understand that you only live once. You only have one opportunity to live. It's not like a stage rehearsal or a dress rehearsal. This is just this one existence we have now. Live it to the fullest. It's so easy to say, but sometimes, you know, some situations or things happen to make you realize, and it dawns on you. Because that's why you see a lot of time when you see patients who a lot of time, and I always see this with patients who have cancer, who are facing their mortality, they're looking at their mortality like this. And just remember Night Birdie, who was on, I think, America's Got Talent. She had said, you know, she had just her energy and her perspective of life. Like, you don't wait until you don't have any problems to be happy. I think that was a phrase she made or something, that, and it made so much sense. You don't wait until all your bills are paid, until your life is perfect, until you find that perfect man, until you have those perfect children, until you get the perfect job, until before you're happy. No, right now, here today, in this moment, what do you need to do? To smile. Because tomorrow is not promised. So you don't have a second chance. Like right here, and it's something I think we all grapple with, but even, and I speak of myself, it's something that I constantly like to remind myself, what do I need to do today to smile? And so, yeah, so I digress. So pretty much that was just, to me, that's what I mean by someone who doesn't have the pursuit of happiness, like he said, in terms of a deal breaker. Paul had asked her, like, does she think she's approachable? And she said, why, you know, would you, I don't know how she answered him, but she said, why do you think I'm not approachable? You know, Paul, and this is the importance of, you know, men need encouragement. And this is how Carmen has bolstered up his ego. Because when she said that, she said, do you think I'm not approachable? He said, no. He's like, you know, if I want you, I'm coming for you. And then Carmen's like, are you coming for me? He's like, I'm right here. So that is the importance of, you know, energizing your partner. Like, okay, so he's not her partner, but you're just sitting with someone who you're interested in dating, and they have certain qualities that you like. You're still, there's a certain, and those are feminine qualities. That's why you're sitting in your feminine, being nurturing and being encouraging and being supportive, and just like a gentle touch, like not pushing, you're not nagging, like be this. No, you just envision, the analogy for me is just envision your hand on his back as support. And you can feel that support. And that support you're giving him can make him conquer the world. And that little example there is just how she was encouraging to him. Like I said, I don't know if she's into him, but she gave him enough energy for him to really feel confident about himself. Like he's talking about, yeah, no, I don't care if you're not approachable. If I see someone I like, I'm approaching, and that's it. That's the energy of dating, and that's the benefit of being in your feminine if you're with a person who's masculine. Of course, the dynamics can change. If you're into someone who's just not, you're probably more in touch with the feminine side, then maybe, but there has to be yin and a yang. What I'm saying, it can't be yin yin and yang yang, not gonna work. You need yin and you need yang. Now, I'm not telling you that, man has to be yang and a woman has to be yin. It could be switched, but there has to be like, for it to, for the harmony to occur, there needs to be a yin and a yang. For the harmony to occur, there has to be masculine and feminine. That's why that whole thing exists. Masculine, you can't have two people rah 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 rah, because that's when we butt heads. But I digress again. All right, so we have another date. It is Tina and Donovan. Tina, I like. You know about this young lady. Donovan, the jury's still out. I talked about his eyebrows last week and just how he did kind of speak of Precious. I just didn't like the way he made reference to her, and that might just be me prematurely judging him. So I'm just going to give him a second. So the jury's still out. But yeah, so it's Donovan. What they have to, like, I remember who was feeding who. Someone was feeding somebody. I want to say he fed her some duck or something. I'm just like, just my observation here is like, COVID at that time wasn't gone. COVID was strong. I know they're testing negative, but COVID can jump up anytime. So in that point in time, like, y'all sharing forks and stuff, maybe y'all need to not do that. That's all that came to my mind when he fed her. When he fed her, like, he's gonna use that same fork and eat himself. Like, we don't know if she had COVID. We don't know if he has COVID, but that's what I was thinking. But things are changing now. Infection rates are dropping, so that's going to be less of a concern. Let's see how this goes. It looks like we're going to be living with COVID, but it's going to be less traumatic. We might just have like yearly shot, like the flu shot. But I digress again. So they talk about relationship, wants and desires. Donovan breaks down what he wants. He wants, what's it, beauty, he said, or something like that. I talk about he wants growth. He wants the dreams that lie as. All right, so we can see that they're attracted to each other. Let's see how this goes. I thought it was interesting how Tina talked about her interests, and I think a lot of women want this. A lot of the time at the top of the list, we'll talk about funny. I don't know, why do we as women like to have someone who's funny? I guess because a lot of times we do carry a lot of weight as women, because we're meant to be nurturing, we're meant to be giving, we're meant to be supportive. So sometimes the way we get filled up, other than someone saying I love you or showing love, is someone just making the situation and the atmosphere light. That lightness just helps us relax, because on a day-to-day there's a lot of heaviness in real world. If you're a parent, particularly her as a single parent, she's got the responsibilities of raising a child. I believe she has a daughter. The day-to-day, and so just relaxing, leaning into someone, and someone just making her laugh, makes her feel young again. And when I say young again, like almost childlike, where she can almost lean into someone's arms, one, and then two, just helps her laugh and giggle and forget whatever heaviness might be going on in the real world for her. So I think, I don't know, you tell me what you think, because I only see this list. If it's not top of the list, it's in a woman's list. She wants him to be funny, just make her smile and forget whatever heaviness she might be dealing with, because women, we deal with a lot. And then of course the other things, like she wants someone who's kind. That makes sense. Someone who's ambitious. If you're a feminine woman who want a masculine man, you need him to be ambitious. You don't want to be, waking up to say, bruh, so where you going to today? Do you have a job today? Are you going job hunting? Like, if you think of it, what was that show again? That Issa Rae, Insecure. Like, why is she and homie break up beginning of the series? Because he'd been sleeping on, he didn't sleep on the couch, he shared in a room, but she was literally supporting him for a year and a half. And it wasn't until they broke up that he stood up. I knew that, and that's what when they talk about babying a man, you can't raise a man, you do all this thing. It wasn't until they broke up and his security blanket was snatched from under his feet that he stood up and did what he should have done since. So there's a certain amount, I think there's an understanding we need to have as women, where there's a thin line for us sometimes between being nurturing and supportive and babying a man. And if you think about it, there's that point when you baby them too much, then it's like they're just leaning in, like they leaning in instead of you leaning in. But the minute that supportive thing is, then they stand up, and so all of a sudden all the work, and that's what you hear this all the time, all the work I can't remember Issa Rae's character, she had put into him, supporting his dreams, They break up and all of a sudden he's professional. He's got a great job. He's got an income. He's got all the things she wanted him to be when they were together. He didn't end up being those things until they broke up. And so I think to us as women, that's an example where we have to be very cognizant of how much we're doing and what exactly we're doing. Don't be your man's mom. You're not his mom. You're his girl. You need to lean into someone, because what makes a woman angry, bitter, and naggy is if she feels like her man is an extra child. That's not how it works. And that's the dynamic where you definitely have to understand the power of feminine energy, and also where you just need to just pull back and let him figure it out. Who was it? It was Dakia, Ace, Tina, otherwise known as Christina, and then Laverne, Tori. Actually, no, it was 1-on-1. It was 3-3. It was Laverne, Tori, Paul. So what do I want to discuss here? Not everyone, but of note here, there was Ace and Laverne. So they sit down and they're having a conversation, and there was a purpose for that conversation, at least for Laverne. Laverne wanted to reiterate and remind Ace and put her back on notice that I'm into you. I don't know if it was trying to remind her so she knew that to remember that when it was time for elimination, or if he just wanted to let her know that I'm into you. So he made his intentions known. So it's not like, for the most part, it's not like a man doesn't know how to be a man. But sometimes, depending on the energy he's receiving from you, he may not be comfortable enough, if he's not really sure of himself, to be that. But I don't think it's ever a case of they don't know how to. Because if he's sitting as masculine is go, means masculine's approach, masculine's pursue. So he knows, because there's been some talk about him, just kind of has the push-pull where he's interested for a minute, then he pulls back. And so there's been that, talk, but he knows what to do when he wants to do it. He puts it on when he wants to. When he doesn't care. He just sits back. Because even when you think about it, when he sat down with Tina, he seemed a little closed off. I say he seemed closed off in that she'd even mentioned that he just seemed to only want to talk about light stuff. He wasn't interested in delving in and having a deeper conversation. So by the end of the conversation, she was like, he's not my type, and she wasn't interested. Although she acknowledged that he was physically attractive, to go on to the second stage, like what's behind the head, she wasn't impressed with what he presented to her. He wasn't interested, so he didn't really give himself. Tori's now scrambling because unknowingly he had put his eggs in one basket. Like, who else is he really chilling like strong on? So now he realizes he needs to regroup and move fast. So that truth or dare game really helped him, because he was getting a little too relaxed. Like, his main connection to him was Sabrina, and that was it, whereas he needed to be in pursuit of other people. So now he's sitting with Dakia. They were talking about Sabrina. He realized that he needs to go back to the drawing board, reassess, and start actively pursuing more people. I think that was the point of the conversation right there. Both, I don't know if she was trying to help him or they just got talking, but then that was the realization. He's like, yo, he needs to get going, or he'll be on the chopping board. And I think that's why I don't like this thing being a game, because his concern seemed not so much that, Sabrina wasn't into him, but almost like it means that he'd be voted off. So that's what I don't like about that. So was it truly like, oh, I'm disappointed she doesn't want me? Or am I disappointed I could possibly be going home soon? So this week we get to the ladies' lounge. Sorry, they call it the wine bar. We're going to talk about who we're going to eliminate. So what's of note here? They talk, everyone's still talking about when we get to Sabrina, everybody's talking, Tori versus Demetrius, everyone seemed surprised too they seemed surprised. We weren't surprised that, oh, actually it was Demetrius' ear she nibbled, and she kind of breaks it down. Tori for her is, he's sunshine, he's light, and he's all this. Sunshine, that's the feminine quality. You're meant to be light but cool, calm, collected. That's the masculine energy. That's a no-brainer right there. She sees Demetrius as a number one. Moving on. As they go through the thing, Carmen, she when she talk about her tops, she now has put Eric and Paul. She has removed Clifton based on that one kiss. Clearly Carmen's a chess player and she doesn't like to waste time. Speed dating, she gets it. Clearly it looked like she can't, so she can see that she can't pull Clifton underneath Joy's grip. So she dropped him quick. Last week, was she not talking about Clifton? This week now, her tops are now Eric and Paul. She has used Paul to replace Clifton. Y'all see that? She playing for keeps. Like, she just might get to the final because she's not hung up on anyone. She's playing. I don't know if she even like anyone. She's here to play. because the Eric that she's talking about, she's been knowing him, and they haven't dated. So why is it now they're just going to date now? Are they just going to date each other to get to the final? So yeah, she's Carmen. I don't know. She understands the essence of the game, so I can't even judge her. I'm not here to judge her. And then coming to Precious. Precious mentions that, you know, her tops are Paul and Donovan. My sis, you know, I hate to break it to you, but you're not on top of their list. Like Paul, I think he no longer interested just based on the way he told you to go mix and mingle last week. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. We'll hear now, you know, when they decide to do the gentleman's lounge next week, I want to see how Paul speaks of Precious, because I'm on Precious not interested. We already know Donovan's not interested. He wasn't like, she want me. That's how Donovan looked like, she want me. I don't know if I want her. So the two men she talked about, they don't want her. Precious, you're gonna need to reassess, game change, turn around, reassess, like go in a different direction, because those two guys, they're not feeling you. I'm just telling you as a good sis here. You might not see, but I'm telling you ahead of time. we know the season's already fully recorded, but it just makes me sad that the two guys she picked don't want her. So we go down to elimination dates. The Kia goes out and take Wiley. Laverne is with Precious. So we already know. I can tell you, and you can tell me. We didn't even need to watch the end before we knew who was going home. So you know, Precious having a chat with Laverne, talking about, you know, dun 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 dun. We don't feel like you're connecting. You came up with the truth or dare. Okay, yeah, Precious. Yeah, that's not the point. Who came up with truth or dare? They played truth or dare, right? And he wasn't even the one asking all the questions. And they said something about narcissistic. Like, we need to stop using that word at this point. Like, as soon as, you know, DT left the White House, I think we just need to just leave that word and just let, you know, put it under the rug for now and use another word. But what she definitely made sense is when she said something about him hot or cold. We have heard that consistently, that he'll be in and then he'll be out, like a push-pull kind of thing with some of the women. And so that's definitely a valid complaint. And he was talking about how, yeah, you need to earn my trust. I thought he was a little defensive, because even if that is true, in such a scenario such as this, we call it speed dating. You telling someone she needs to earn your trust. That's not the point here. You could still be charming and not necessarily engaged or into the person like that, but respecting the person's time by a back and forth. That's why you're there, because it's a competition, it's a game show. What they're telling you essentially, that you're not playing the game right. They're putting you on notice that you're not playing the game right. So I don't think, but he said he heard, and he said something in his confession about he gonna be here till the end. Sir, not with the way you're playing. I'm sorry, with the way you're playing, you won't. I'm just here to tell you that now. If Laverne continues to play the way he's playing, he won't be here till the end. All right, so moving on to the main elimination date. What they call these things, bubble dates? Is that what we said it was? Anyway, so Daki and Wiley. So they did speak. She did, you know, Dakia has a nice way with words. And so she actually kind of broke down what she thought his problem was. She said the same thing, not in so many words, but just, you know, he was talking about how he was, you know, being intentional with how he was spreading his energy. No, sir, you weren't closing the deal. You come, show up for a business deal, and then walk out of the conference room before you start talking real details. And so she kind of broke it down as an analysis paralysis, where he would analyze and just get paralyzed and just not be able to do anything and not do anything and not close the deal. And so she said something which I'm sure other people said in the past, but I just remember this now, where she said, I'm not even in a position to say you're not ready to love, because we all know you are, but you're not ready to love anyone here right now. The person for you who is not here right now. And I think that distinction is very important, because that you're not ready to love is just like who you think you is, like who are you to tell me I'm not ready to love? So anyway, so we know Wiley goes home. We knew this was gonna happen. So yeah, we at the end of the episode. So guys, let's see what's happening next. Really look like, you know, Tori decided to step up. I don't remember, but I saw him stepping up somewhere somehow. Like he stepped up. The two people that need to step up, I think they met together. Two people who need to step up, stepped up together. I don't know if they're playing the game or they're actually into each other. But guys, for now, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, which is down here. Lola, over and out. Thanks for watching.